Good morning. My name is Brad Klaus. I'm founder and CEO of Extole. Today we're going to spend about 15 minutes going through an overview of the Extole social advocacy platform. Wanted to touch base a little bit on who Extole is. So we're about a 100-person company based in San Francisco, and we're the leader in consumer-to-consumer social marketing. I'll describe what that means, but there's a difference. We believe the next generation of social is about social advocacy and consumer-to-consumer social marketing, and I'll take you through a little bit of what that means. We're working with over 250 leading brands today, powering campaigns that turn their customers into advocates and drive measurable results leveraging social channels. We believe that there's a fundamental shift in what's occurring in consumer behavior, and that's predicated based on the social networks evolving. And so if you look at what Zuckerberg is saying from Facebook, there's a new law, like Moore's Law, emerging where sharing is doubling year over year. At the same time, the reach of that sharing is extensive. So social networks are now reaching well over 80% of the U.S. population, for example. And there's an opportunity to garner all of this as a brand and get your customers to become advocates and share with their friends. And if they do so, those friend-to-friend recommendations are much more trusted than traditional advertising. So we think the combination of all three of these factors make a powerful statement for what we call consumer-to-consumer social marketing. So let me take you through a little bit about what we mean on consumer-to-consumer social marketing. We believe that the evolution of social is pretty much described based on this slide. Facebook launches, and this is going to be a very Facebook-centric story, but I think it'll tell the broader social story as well. Facebook launches, and brands want to know what their customers are saying about them on Facebook. So social listening platforms like Radian6, for example, came out. Then it was Facebook launching the brand page, and every brand in the world was struggling to get a brand presence on Facebook. Companies like Buddy Media, Vitru, and others launched solutions to help brands power brand pages. Then it was, I need fans and followers, or I need likes to publish content to, in a very traditional brand-to-consumer way. Our belief is none of that is really the true promise of social. The true promise is what we call consumer-to-consumer social marketing. So instead of having a traditional brand-to-consumer publishing approach, how do you get your customers to become the advocates? How do you get them to become the publishers and share with their friends to bring demonstrable value back to the brand? And so that's what Extole is focused on with our social advocacy platform. So the way it works is depicted on this screen. Essentially what you want to do is take your customers, turn them into advocates, get them to create stories, and these stories can be anything from referrals to sharing of promotions to expression buttons, and I'll take you through some examples of all of these in a few slides, that get shared with their friends on Facebook or other social network channels. Friends see it, they click, drive referral traffic back to the site, and then you measure all of that. You know, what are the sales and reach numbers that we're getting, and you can garner some really interesting consumer insights, and we'll cover all of that today as well. And the Facebook Open Graph really kind of revolutionized the ability to drive advocacy for brands. It's relatively new, but now brands can go beyond the like. So instead of just having customers like a page, you can now have customers take actions or expressions based on the objects that are on your page. So for example, they can claim a coupon, they can enter a sweepstakes, they can love a product, they can want a product, they can own a product. So these are all fundamentally different ways of telling stories now that can drive consumer advocacy, and we'll go through some examples of that. The Extole social advocacy platform is really focused on two main users. One is a website owner who wants to socialize their website and get the customer engagement that's already occurring on the website to turn into stories that the friends see and then drive ROI back as referral traffic. The second user is a Facebook brand page manager, for example, that wants to run episodic campaigns. We'll go through an example of each of these and how the Open Graph has kind of revolutionized the way that you can turn your customers into advocates in each of those spots. So let's go through the first one, a case study with a brand called tastingroom.com, which is a next generation wine retailer, e-commerce wine retailer based in the Bay Area, San Francisco Bay Area. What they do is they ship out 6 packs of samplers to their customers. The customers then try each of the samples, and hopefully they come back and buy the ones that they like on the e-commerce site. We started working with them about 9 months ago when the Open Graph was really just becoming relevant, and we've done some pretty interesting things with them that I want to share with you today. I think it's depicted, the calls to action, at least for the 3 different programs, are depicted on this slide. So we're powering in the lower right-hand corner an invite friends, get $20 for every friend that you refer that becomes a Tasting Room customer. That's what we call our Refer a Friend product. Just above that, there's a call to action that says claim $10, get $10 off if you claim through Facebook. That's what we call a social coupon that's Facebook Open Graph enabled and creates stories that friends see and can become more viral. I'll take you through an example of that. And then on the top, we're powering expression buttons. So they used to have like buttons. Now they've got buttons that are I want it, I tried it, and I recommend it. So we'll take you through examples of each of these. So first off, on the referral program side, we started as a Refer a Friend company, a software as a service platform that powers Refer a Friend programs. And so we've had a long history of turning customers into advocates and getting them to refer their friends. And traditionally, the way that you want to do that is via email, Facebook, and Twitter, and then what we call a personal URL. So you want to extend to your customers an opportunity for everyone to have their own link that they can share any way that they want. When they share, and then the programs are typically set up as follows. So in this case, you get $25 for every friend that you refer that becomes a customer at tastingroom.com. And typically that's based on an amount that they ordered. So they have to order $50 or more. And we have all sorts of different kind of reward tiers and structures that can be implemented. Essentially what you're doing, though, is your customers are seeing a call to action on your website that says refer friends, get $25. They click on it, they go to a experience that's like this, and they go through and share via email, Facebook, Twitter, or the personal URL. In this case, I'll show a couple examples. One is an email share, and one is a Facebook share. So in the lower right-hand corner, you can see the consumer shared with their friends on Facebook. Now, if one of the friends sees this and wants to take action, they click on it, and we drive them back to the Tasting Room website. If that friend then goes and converts, we actually track all of that behavior. So we'll know that Brad referred a friend, that friend actually clicked and actually converted, and Brad is now due the reward for the referral program. And then that way we're leveraging social channels to drive true ROI. We're also leveraging existing promotional opportunities like coupons or sweepstakes that companies have been running for a number of years, but through the Open Graph enablement now are doing three things really: making the promotions go more viral. The second thing that's happening is we're collecting really interesting consumer insights, and I'll share that with you. And the third thing is presenting paid media opportunities through Facebook sponsored stories. So here's an example of a coupon, a social coupon that Tasting Room is running, and it's basically pretty simple. Wine with friends is better, so claim this coupon for $10 off on Facebook. If you share with your friends on Facebook, you get the coupon. Consumer sees this, they click on it, and with the click of a button, we're now presenting what's called an Open Graph app install through the Facebook platform, and we're asking for permission from this consumer to do two things. One is collect data, and here you can see we're collecting the basic profile information of this consumer as well as the email address. So this can be a great way to capture email information, email addresses as well as consumer information. And the second is this is telling a story that all their friends will see. So in this case, it's Brad Klaus claimed a coupon at tastingroom.com. With that very simple action, we then flip the coupon code, and we also send an email with that coupon code in there in case the consumer is not going to purchase right at that time. You want to have it in their email inbox. So what happened behind the scenes? In this case, a story. This is what Facebook calls a story. A story was created. John Smith claimed a coupon at tastingroom.com. So it was only about a few months ago that Facebook actually started to open up what they call custom actions. It used to be that they had native actions. It started with the like, then they created the listened, and people that use Spotify are probably familiar with the Brad Klaus listen to a song, kind of story that's created. Then they created a watch native action, but then they opened it up to custom actions. And so now what we're helping brands do is figure out how to leverage these custom actions in new and interesting ways. In this case, it's a claim of a coupon. I'll show you a few other examples as we go through this process. But what happens is, because it's Open Graph enabled, every single consumer that claims that coupon is creating story that their friends are seeing in Facebook and becoming organic earned media, driving referral traffic back to this coupon offer and hopefully creating some real ROI for Tasting Room. Let's say that this consumer actually then went through and used the coupon to make a purchase. That's the goal, obviously. In this case, a different story would be created. So we would present them on the post-purchase page with an opportunity to share their purchase. So share your purchase and get 20% off your next order. Consumer clicks on that. In this case, it's a bought story that occurs. So Whitaker Guy bought Dry Creek Zinfandel from tastingroom.com. And so in this way, you can continue to take your owned assets, your website, and create earned media opportunities leveraging Facebook's Open Graph. And by earned media opportunities, we mean basically customers turning into advocates and sharing stories with their friends on Facebook. Another way that we're seeing clients leverage the Open Graph is through what we call expressions. So the first two examples were more action-based. I'm going to claim something, or I just bought something. An expression can be anything that a brand wants that's more than a like. So in this case, what Tasting Room wanted to see was they wanted to see their customers come in and instead of click like of a product page, they wanted to click, I want it, I tried it, or I recommend it. And again, as they're clicking and interacting with different product pages, this is telling stories into Facebook that their friends are seeing. And those stories are, you can actually do some interesting aggregation with those stories on the consumer timeline. So this is an example of the consumer's timeline. This is John Smith's timeline. So his friends and family are interacting with this timeline. And you can see in the lower right-hand side of this screen, there's essentially a tasting room billboard, or what we call a bumper sticker for the brand, on the consumer's timeline of all the wines that he recommends. If his friends are interacting with this page and they say, oh, that's an interesting wine, I want to check it out, they click on it, they're driven to that product page at tastingroom.com, and it becomes referral traffic and earned media. So there's a lot of opportunities that are now merging with Facebook's Open Graph and the Extole social advocacy platform to create advocacy and drive more earned media from your website. I wanted to share an example of a Facebook campaign as well, because we work with a number of clients who have, between 3 and 10 major campaigns that they run on Facebook to engage their Facebook fans and likes every year. And this is an example of a children's retailer. We had to anonymize it because they're a publicly traded company, but I think the example will show well. What we did here was created a sweepstakes. The sweepstakes is not revolutionary. Probably many people have seen sweepstakes that behave this way on Facebook tabs. And Extole's been powering these kinds of sweepstakes for a while now. But what we did here that was different was Open Graph enable it. And we think this was one of the first Open Graph enabled sweepstakes that was ever created. And I'll share with you the results and why getting to the friends of your fans is very impactful for brands. So the flow here was pretty straightforward. A consumer would see a call to action that says enter a sweepstakes. They'd be driven to a registration page and presented with a form fill out. This is pretty standard sweepstakes stuff. In this case, first name, last name, email. We can also capture a like at this point as well. And so essentially we're capturing a lead at this point, a like plus an email opt-in. And the consumer's entering a sweepstakes. Now normally they would have clicked enter and that would have been it. But now we're Open Graph enabling it. So we worked with Facebook to create the verb claim, or entered in this case. So just like we claimed a coupon earlier, now we're entering a sweepstakes. That's the story that's going to be told to the friends. And so similar to the example before, we're now seeing an Open Graph app install. The consumer is now opting in to share their data with this children's retailer. And then the story is being created on the back end. We also then try to make it a little bit more viral, so we have techniques. For example, if you share with your friends and your friend wins, then you'll win something as well. So share again on Facebook or Twitter. And in that way, we can create more and more sharing and more earned media. But what was really interesting about this campaign, it was one of the first, if not the first, Open Graph enabled sweepstakes. But it also was one of the first that we know of where we actually bought paid media in the form of sponsored stories against a custom action. In this case, the action was entered. So what happened here were stories were created, right? So in this case, it was John Smith entered a sweepstakes. That story was organic traffic that can then, friends will see and click on it and can become viral. But if you believe Facebook, only 16% of people see that in the news feed today. And so we believe that another opportunity is to amplify all of this through sponsored stories. So in this case, we also spent $5,000 and bought about 8 million impressions of this story, the friend saying that they entered the sweepstakes to other friends. And so the results were really compelling, and I think this really tells the story around consumer-to-consumer marketing, advocacy, and the Open Graph. So if you look at this slide, what happens when you do a brand page post to your audience is fixed. Your audience is fixed at the number of likes or fans that you have. In this case, it was 356,000. So as this children's retailer promoted brand page posts to their fans, that was the total audience that was going to see it. As you get stories created through consumer-to-consumer marketing in the Open Graph, what's happening is you're reaching the friends of fans. So in this case, you're actually getting to 4.78 million from an audience size. And so the reason that Facebook essentially created the Open Graph was to do just that. How do you take your customers, turn them into advocates, and reach out to their friends and bring those friends in as leads and hopefully as referral traffic and demonstrable ROI. And then on top of that, we then bought Sponsored Stories and served another 8 million impressions for only $5,000. What's interesting about that is these weren't any old impression. These were stories that were told only to the friends, and you can start to target and do interesting things. So in this case, it was women between the ages of 25 and 44 who were friends of the people that entered the sweepstakes saw these stories. And so in this way, this campaign became very, very viral. We 3x'd the goals that they had for the campaign, and it really succeeded. So those are two case studies around how Extole Social Advocacy Platform is helping either website owners or Facebook brand page managers leverage their customers and fans to create advocacy and earn media that ultimately shows demonstrable ROI. Thank you.